This court's going to call cause number 40456. This is in the district court, Jasper County, Texas. It's in the interest of Midnight Rain Peterson. Dustin Martin, I need you to raise your right hand and tell me that your hand is in the air.
Yes, sir. My hand's in the air.
Dustin Martin, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Haley Peterson, raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. Ms. Simone, does the state have any other witnesses besides the parties?
No, sir.
All right. Your case has been called. You can call your first witness.
Okay, the state will call Miss Peterson. Miss Peterson, would you state your full name for the court's record, please?
Haley Peterson.
Okay, and do you have any safety concerns with your personal information being in today's court order?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What is the name of the child we're here for today?
Midnight Rain Peterson.
Okay, when was Midnight born?
March 12th, 22.
And how old is Midnight?
She's 1.
And do you and Midnight both reside together in Jasper County?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is Midnight's father?
Dustin Martin.
Okay, at this time, the state will move for the admission of the genetic test results for Midnight as State's Exhibit A.
Ms. Peterson, I've just placed on the screen a copy of the alleged DNA test results between you, Midnight Peterson, and the alleged father, Dustin Martin. Is it okay if I look at these DNA test results?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Martin, the same question. Is it okay if I look at these DNA test results?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit A is admitted into evidence. Based on the admission into evidence of State's Exhibit A, the court's going to find that the alleged father, Mr. Dustin Martin, is found to be the biological and now the legal father of the child Midnight Peterson based on the DNA test results. Go ahead, Ms. Simone.
What do you want Midnight's last name to be?
Peterson.
Martin.
Mr. Martin, they have not asked you any questions yet, okay?
Yes, sir.
Just wait for them to call your name. Go ahead.
And why do you believe that would be in her best interest?
Because she's already been that way, and
One second, Ms. Simone. Ms. Peterson, can you hear me?
yes, sir.
Ms. Peterson, if I see you one time look off my screen at somebody else for an answer to the question, I'm going to remove you out of my Zoom here. I'm going to do this without you. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You answer the questions. Don't look at somebody else to answer the question for you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Simone.
All right. Did you finish answering the question? Why do you believe keeping her last name as Peterson would be in her best interest?
To be honest, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't think it would be a good idea to put his last name as Martin because me and him really don't get along, and I think Peterson would fit her name, her last name.
Okay. Were you and Mr. Martin ever in a relationship?
No, yes. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Did the two of you ever reside together?
No, ma'am.
When did you tell Mr. Martin that he could be Midnight's father?
When I was 2 weeks pregnant and I found out, I called him that day.
Since Midnight was born, has Mr. Martin been providing any financial support?
No, ma'am.
Are you asking the court for any back child support today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who does Midnight live with?
Me and my parents
And how long has she lived with you?
for a year.
Okay. Who makes the important decisions for Midnight?
Me.
Who makes the day-to-day decisions?
Me.
And when did Mr. Martin last see her?
Never.
Okay. So Mr. Martin presently has no relationship whatsoever with Midnight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And he's never seen her?
No, ma'am.
What safety concerns do you have with the court ordering visitation?
He can see her, but either one of my parents or I would have to be there for him to see her. I don't feel comfortable leaving her alone with him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. What type of health insurance does Midnight have?
I think it's Texas Children.
I will go ahead and pass this witness.
Call your next witness.
Okay, I will call Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, would you state
Yes,
your full
ma'am.
name would you state your full name for the court's record, please?
Dustin Ray Martin.
Okay. And you are Midnight Peterson's father, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Now I know that.
Okay. And what do you want Midnight's last name to be?
I'd rather it be Martin.
Okay. And why do you believe that's in her best interest?
Well, for the simple fact is, I know I ain't been there for the little girl, and it's not really my fault because Haley personally, she doesn't like my mom or any of my family. And the reason that is because my mom's a dope head. Literally, that's all she does is drugs. I don't associate with her, don't have nothing to do with her. I got my own house to take care of things I got to take care of. I work. Other than that, I mean, I'd like the little girl to have my last name
Okay.
personally because my daughter, you know, I want her to have a part of me, you know.
Okay. When did Miss Peterson tell you that you could be Midnight's father?
A little bit after she, you know, told me she was 2 weeks pregnant. I came back from Alabama for about 2 months after being in a relationship with her. And then she finally told me she was pregnant, so I didn't believe it was mine because I was in Alabama at the time. But I guess she was longer pregnant than that. I'm not sure. And then that's the reason why I wanted to go forward with the paternity test.
Okay. Have you ever provided any type of financial support for Midnight?
No, ma'am, I haven't. And the simple reason why is because I haven't, you know, seen her, had any way of associating with her, any of that.
Who does Midnight live with?
She lives with her.
And who makes the major life decisions for Midnight?
I have no say so in anything that goes on over there at
Okay.
all.
And have you ever seen Midnight?
No, ma'am, but I really want to.
Okay. So you would like to have a relationship with Midnight?
Yes, ma'am, I would.
Okay. And are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, where do you work?
I work for STI at OCI.
Okay. And how long have you worked there?
I've been working there for the past 2-3 months.
Okay. And are you paid hourly or a salary?
I'm paid hourly.
Okay. How much are you paid per hour?
I make $18 an hour.
Okay. And do you work 40 hours per week?
I work at least 43.
43? Okay. So do you work some overtime?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your overtime rate?
It really and truly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just work and get paid.
And what did you do prior to this job?
New construction.
Okay. And what were you paid at that job?
This is basically the same thing.
Okay. And is this current job, is this a contract position?
No, ma'am. This guy owns his own company, so.
Okay, so it's
I
pretty
kinda
steady work. It's steady work. Is the job that you have now steady work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Like I skipped work today in order to be in court.
Okay. Do you have any other biological children under the age of 18?
No, ma'am. That's the only child I have.
Okay, I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
Call your next witness.
No further witnesses.
You do construction work, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir.
No. And you've been with SGI for 2 or 3 months?
Yes, sir.
What was the name of the company you were with before?
That's really my first job. Other than that, I was working for American Fence before I went and applied at. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is your first big time construction job?
Yes, sir.
All right. So do you anticipate this is going to be a permanent spot, or is this going to be till the job's done, then you got to find someplace else to work?
Until the job's done.
All right. So you're going to be job hopping because you're in construction?
Something like that. I mean, the guy that owns his own company, I kind of been working with him a lot lately.
Right. Hey, Mr. Martin, you don't have to make excuses, okay? This is
There's no-
construction. It's construction work. I grew up with it. All of my family's still in it. So I understand how you bounce around from one place to the next, from one job to the next.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's just the nature of Southeast Texas construction work. All right. That's the easy part. Let's deal with the hard part. All right. So, Miss Peterson, you said that you wanted Midnight's last name to remain Peterson. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said you wanted that just because that's part of the reason was because that's the only name she's ever known.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a really stupid question?
Yes, sir.
If I asked Midnight what her last name was, would she be able to tell me?
No, sir.
All right. So she really doesn't know what her last name is, right?
No, sir.
See, here's the thing I want y'all to understand. I've been doing this a long time, and I know little kids. I deal with little kids all the time. And it's okay. You weren't ready for that question. You weren't sure how you should answer it. So let me see if I can help. All right. So right now I got a child that's 15 months old, and I'm sure she's gorgeous. I'm sure she's happy. I'm sure she's well taken care of. And she's about to have a new person involved in her life. To be honest with both of y'all, her last name is not really my concern. I got lots of concerns in this case, and the child's last name ain't one of them. More than likely, at some point in time in her future, she's probably going to grow up and get married. And when she does, she's going to have a completely different last name after that. So even though it'd be nice if we had a name we could come up with, we're not able to do that. So we're going to have to figure out something different. Like right now, the child's last name is Peterson. The parties do not agree that the child's last name needs to be changed. Mr. Martin wants the child's last name to change. Ms. Peterson does not. There is absolutely no statute, no law in regards to how the child's last name should be determined. It's just simply my decision. It's not even appealable because there's no law that says how it's supposed to be. All right. my suggestion is, and in cases like this, what I usually do is I say, you know what? I got a great mom. I got a dad who wants to be a dad. I'll hyphenate the name and I'll change the child's last name to Peterson/Martin. How do you think about that, Miss Peterson?
That's fine.
Mr. Martin, what do you think about that?
I'm okay with it. Like you
All
said, it really doesn't matter.
It does matter. It matters to y'all. And I didn't want to come across as it doesn't matter to me, because it does matter to me. It's just in the grand scheme of things of what's really important to me about Midnight. And the last name is not on the list of very important things. Okay. But
Yes, sir.
I'm glad y'all both agreed that we can do that. So we're going to do that. All right. That's, like I say, that was the easy part. Let's talk about the visitation. Now, Miss Peterson, Mr. Martin has had no contact with the child. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I want you both to understand something. I don't blame anybody that Mr. Martin hasn't had contact, because it's not going to change anything. If I could go back in time and fix it then so that Mr. Martin's contact rights with Midnight started a year ago, I would do that. I don't have a time machine, so I can't fix it. The only thing that I can do is try to start something from this point forward so that Mr. Martin gets to know his child. Right? It's not Mr. Martin's fault. It's not Miss Peterson's fault. And it certainly is not Midnight's fault. Now, Miss Peterson, you said something that I need to correct for you right up front, okay? When Miss Simone asked you about Midnight spending time with Mr. Martin, you said that you, Miss Peterson, wouldn't feel comfortable. You ready for a real big time wet fish right in the face? I don't care about your comfort. Your comfort is of absolutely no relevance to me. Midnight's comfort is of utmost relevance to me. You understand? I can't make you comfortable. All I can do is try to set the situation up the best of my ability so that Midnight is comfortable. So what you did say about Mr. Martin having supervised contact, that is certainly going to happen. Mr. Martin hasn't had any contact with Midnight. Midnight has to get to know him. Okay. And I'm going to set up a phased in visitation schedule that I hope will make that happen. All right. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take Mr. Martin some time to get to know Midnight and for Midnight to get to know Mr. Martin. Okay, Miss Peterson? All right. Can you say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
All right. So my phased in visitation schedule goes like this. I do a certain number of supervised visits for Mr. Martin for, say, 4 hours. And then I do a certain number of unsupervised visits, again, for 4 hours. And then I do a certain number of unsupervised visits where Mr. Martin gets the child for the whole day, 1 day. And then I do a certain number of visits after that where Mr. Martin gets 1 night overnight. Okay. So you see, each time I increase the phase, Mr. Martin gets a little more time with Midnight so that Midnight will know. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm thinking I need 10 visits at each phase. That means that Mr. Martin would have 10 supervised visits. When those supervised visits are done, then Mr. Martin would have 10 unsupervised visits for the half a day. And then when those 10 visits are done, then Mr. Martin would have 10 unsupervised visits for the day. When those 10 visits are done, then Mr. Martin would have 10 1-night overnights. When he got done with that last phase, then he would have standard possession, which is weekends, holidays, summers, that kind of stuff. Now that's 10 visits. That's not 10 months or 10 weeks. That's 10 visits. So if he does every visit the way I just said, he's going to get 2 visits a month. Okay, generally. So it's going to take him 5 months to get every visit done that I just described before he would have standard possession. So 5 times 4 will be 20. So at that point in time, I would assume that Midnight would be about 3.5 years old. That's about the time that the law says that Mr. Martin should have weekend visits with the child. You following with me so far, Miss Peterson?
Yes, sir.
Miss Peterson, in your opinion, do you think that Midnight would have enough time based on my schedule to get to know Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Martin, based on the information that I just gave you, do you think that Midnight would have enough time to get to know you over that next 2 years?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now listen, y'all, that's what I'm gonna do in this case, 10 at each phase. But I want you both to know something. Part of my court order is gonna say that Mr. Martin can have visitation at any and all times mutually agreed to by the parties. You don't have to follow my schedule. If you, Miss Peterson, and you, Mr. Martin, agree to change my schedule, you can do that. But it will mean that you have to agree to change it. Okay? If Miss Peterson doesn't agree to change it, then you got to stick to my schedule. If Mr. Martin doesn't agree to change it, then you have to stick to my schedule. If either party feels like the schedule is not working, then you always have the right to hire an attorney and go back and change my schedule. All right? You always have that right.
Yes, sir.
You understand that, Miss Peterson?
Yes, sir.
You understand that, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Now's the time to ask it.
Say I was at work for one of my visitation days and I'm not able to see her. How would that go? Like, would the next day, if I'm free, I'd have a visit? Or
The only time that's going to be a real problem for you, Mr. Martin, is for the supervised visits, which are the first 10. If you can't do the visit, then it's not going to make any difference because you have to do the supervised visit.
so I would just miss the visit.
You would miss the visit for the supervised visit, but not for the other 30. Any visits after the first supervised visits, Mr. Martin, you could send somebody to go pick up the child, and then you could meet them somewhere to have some time with the child. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, if you decide to do that, that is your right, Mr. Martin. You don't have to be the person to go get midnight. You can send somebody else to go get midnight for you. You understand?
Yes, sir, I do.
But I need you to understand, Mr. Martin, that there's some conditions in there. Miss Peterson would never allow some unknown strange person to take her child.
Yes,
So
yes, sir.
if you send somebody she doesn't know, that child's not getting in the car.
Yes, sir.
So sometimes, y'all, believe it or not, common sense plays into this more than anything else. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions, Miss Peterson?
No, sir.
Any other question, Mr. Martin?
No, sir.
Court's going to find the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find, based on the testimony of the parties, that it is certain in Midnight's best interest to name the parties as joint managed conservators, with Miss Peterson as the primary parent, has the right to establish the residence of the child. I'm going to order Miss Peterson to maintain the health insurance that she has on the child, and I'm going to set child support against Mr. Martin based on his testimony. Child support in this case is going to be set at $465 per month, plus an additional $80 a month in cash medical. Retroactive child support will be granted in this case, but not for full time. $2,000 in retroactive child support, Ms. Simone. That'll be paid back at a rate of $30 a month. All payments beginning July the 1st of 2023. The last name of the child is going to be changed from this point forward to Peterson-Martin. Court cost by Mr. Martin, but I'll give him until December 31st of 2023. There will be a phased-in visitation schedule for the child with 10 visits at each phase, as I described. Does that take care of all the issues in this case?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
All right. Ms. Peterson and Mr. Martin, what's going to happen now is the state's going to send me an order. As long as it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. And then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
I got a young baby in front of me today. She's going to need two parents to have the best opportunities that she has in the future to grow up good and strong. All right? Y'all take advantage of the chance. Y'all take advantage of the chance that I gave you today. Good luck to you both. You're both free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.